Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello. Welcome back to Chase Thomas podcast. Taping this on a Thursday morning here with Clay Stephenson, the Calhoun head football coach down there in North Georgia. I pass through it every time I come home. I'm always like, do I peel off the road? Do I go to Buc-ee's for a second, fill up, and then do I just make a little bit further and just make my way over to see Clay's team on my way back to Knoxville, back from home? But Clay, good morning, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. Cold morning here. These days been pretty chilly. It's been a crazy schedule with the school. We've canceled a day and we're late another day, so it's thrown off a lot of coaches' recruiting trips. You know, they were supposed to start. They could start on the road Friday, and snow happened Monday. So a lot of them. I was just talking with Coach Traxler from Tennessee today, and travel trips got all thrown off. So I had to drive a lot of places that he would have been flying. But he's managing, and he left today and headed south. So, but it's good times for sure.
There you go. When are we getting the Tennessee Heupel installs this spring, Clay? When are we getting those?
I tried to pick his brain as much as we could. Me and my offensive line coach, Coach Hall, we tried to get as much information with the recruiters that come by as we can. My whole board is full with different coaches from all around the country. Just a little bit of a blurb here and there. So try to soak it up when we can.
Okay, I like it. 23 season has been wrapped up for a little bit now, not too far, just a little over a month and a half, give or take, depending on where your respective school finished in 2023. But Calhoun, when you think about the 2023 Calhoun Yellow Jackets season, what's still gnawing at you about last year? What are you still just like, can't shake this? I'm still thinking about this.
Yeah, it's just some missed opportunities throughout the year. When you play good teams and you play a good schedule, it comes down to a few plays, just a handful of plays. So there's a lot of things that gnaw at me. There's 6 things that my wife gets mad at me because I feel like I talk about them in my sleep sometimes. But things that we wish we could go back and change. But the thing about sports is you get one chance, and when you don't do it, the frustrating thing about sports is you don't get to make that right. So we're counting down the days to August. We got 2023 behind us, and it was a year. Didn't make the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So it was a lot of tough times, a lot of tough conversations and tough things that have kind of gone on for that last couple of months after the season. But we've put that behind us, and the kids. The kids are super resilient. They're ready to go the Monday after the final game. They were ready to get back at it. So, I'm just seeing those guys and seeing the growth they've had from the end of that season all the way to now gives you a lot of hope for the future for sure.
And for the good folks all around Georgia, I mean, they are quite familiar with the GHSA powerhouse, the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. So to hear that they weren't in the playoffs last year, I think it was just one of those where I'm looking through stuff and I'm really engulfed in what we're doing up here in East Tennessee, but still watching as much as I can back in GHSA. NFHS network is great for this stuff because I can parse through some stuff and get through, and it's just really easy to watch some tape and watch some games. But when I think about y'all, and it's just kind of wild to just see Calhoun not in the playoffs. Like there's just some programs that it's just kind of jarring. So when did it hit you that like, oh, our season's not continuing? Was it right that night, that last Friday, or did it take some time?
Yeah, no, it pretty much it hit instantly, because we had a game, the last game of the year, and had to win to get in, and we played a really good cast team, and they got off to a good start, and we never could quite catch up, and so we ended up losing to Cartersville, Dalton, and Cass in our and Hiram was the other team that we ended up beating them, but they made the playoffs. So there's 5 good teams, and unfortunately we were the odd man out and didn't make it. So it was tough. It was tough on it was that senior class. It was the first group that when we started playing 5A, they were the first senior class to go all the way from all the way through and all 4 years to be in 5A. So it was just a a tough way for them to end. But like I told them, next week that I didn't want the way we finished this year to take anything away from what they did for our program. They got us through. If you go back and look at it, they got us through their COVID year. They got us when we bumped up to 5A. So they got us through a lot of tough times at Calhoun. So I'm super proud of what they gave us for 4 years. Unfortunately, it just ended the way it did. So it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But I definitely wanted to make sure they understood what they meant to our program, and they kept the program going the right way, regardless of how it ended this year.
We got to get you in TSSAA, Clay, because I don't know if you know how it works up here, but if you're 2-8, you're making the playoffs. Everybody makes the playoffs up here, and it just goes. It's such a mess. If I need to be the czar, well, I'll get you on the board here too to help get this thing right, because GHSA makes it good, but it's so weird to see 3-9 or a team that like won one region game finds their way into the playoffs and can go on a run.
They've tried to. They're taking out a classification that's coming up here. In Georgia, so because we'll still have some teams that are that way as well, just because the regions are so small. So with bigger regions coming next year, it should take that out. You should have to win a few more games than that to make the playoffs. But
do you like that they're getting rid of 7A and going to 6A as the highest classification?
It helps us out this year. We're going from 5 down to 3A. They changed the multiplier rule that kind of bumped us up these last 2 cycles. So I think it's for everybody. I think it takes out a lot of travel for a lot of teams trying to find games. In theory, it should make the regions a little bit bigger. But we still had to pick up four non-region games for this coming up year. But we're excited, looking forward to it. We're playing teams that are that we have in the past played that we hadn't got to play in the last few years, like Adairsville. So it was always been a region rivalry. We hadn't got to play them the last 4 years. So looking forward to getting back some of those teams.
I like it. And it's funny, too, with the way that Georgia's done these classifications in recent years, where 7A was just all the greater Atlanta high schools and then all the South Georgia powerhouses in their own little region. It was just such a weird way of doing it, but they live in their own bubble down there. And then you have all the GHSA or the greater Atlanta area schools all come together.
Do it. Alabama takes the top 32 or the 32 biggest teams, and they kind of separate, and then they do classifications based on after that. And then Tennessee does it differently and different. So it's it kind of all about what fits, and it's ever changing. GHSA works every year to get it right, because when you've got 200 and something schools or whatever, you're not going to please everybody, but they do of tweaking things to keep up with the time. So like I said, we're looking forward to this next cycle and see what we can do.
What ended up being the most difficult part of the 2023 season that you did not anticipate before the year?
Yeah, well, definitely the adversity at the end of the year. Throughout the year, we knew depth would kind of be an issue if you're just looking at straight X's and O's, but we felt good with where we were, and we felt like we were getting better as a team. We played 5 non-region and 5 regions, so our goal was to be better game 6 than we were game 1, and then better game 11 than we were game 6. And then obviously we didn't that third step there, but so just kind of the question you asked earlier, just the finality of it just being over, and we're most of the time we're looking at playoff brackets and looking at this and just that quick abrupt ending that nobody really expected. But it also goes to show you that nothing's in sports, nothing's given to you. Just because we have made how many ever playoffs in a row, it doesn't mean that you're going to show up and get it. And I think that's something that we definitely learned as a program, as players, and as coaching staff. Of we got to make sure we're on it every day throughout the year to make sure that we're improving the little things in the times right now to be ready for the season in August.
I like it. What position group developed the most from where they were at in the beginning of the year to the end of the year?
I think definitely our offensive line. We played Blessed Trinity the first game of the year, and it was a struggle for us up front. We had some new guys up there and some new faces, and it just It took a little while to get their communication down, but I feel like from game 1 to game 10, they improved exponentially. I feel like every position group got better, but I think if you had to pick one from improvement from the first to the end, it would be them. And so very proud of Coach Hall and the offensive line of the way because they took it on the chin that first game, and they progressively got better and better and better. And I was really pleased with where they were at the end of the year.
What is the hardest part? So it's funny, like Tennessee, obviously, like you see just with how developing offensive lineman is, it's the most development sport or most developmental position in football. And you don't like when you have a freshman and sophomore coming into your system, what's the hardest thing for them to learn to develop so that when by the end of the year they are starting to click? What are you seeing that you're like, okay, they're getting this? Is it more of it just depends on whether it's a guard, center, a tackle? What about the development makes it so hard to learn the offensive line?
Yeah, up front, it has to go back to fundamentals. You got to be really good at the fundamentals and taking the right steps, and that's where I feel like that you can improve in that area individually. But as that's 5 guys that have to be working together, and then if you add a tight end and a W, then that's 5 to 7 guys that have to be working together. And we talk about all the time of those guys, just communication's big, because even if they do the wrong thing, if they all 5 do the wrong thing together, we're probably going to have a non-negative play. But when you have 4 guys doing one thing or 4 guys doing right and 1 doing wrong because of communication error, then that leads to negative play. So I think just the number one, they have to get the skills right. But then once they get the skills right, just the communication from the center all the way out to the tackles is the big thing up front. If they, like I said earlier, if they're wrong, they got to be wrong together, and we might do something.
I like it. I like that quote. They're wrong, you got to be wrong together. What do you think it's early, it's January, we haven't done spring ball yet, but when you think about guys you're losing, guys that are coming up, freshmen, sophomores who are going to get more opportunities going into 2024, what do you think is going to be the biggest personnel change from last year to this year for Calhoun fans that they're going to see?
It'll be a lot because we're losing 15 out of our 22 starters. That we've got some, and I say that with a grain of salt because we've got some really good young kids that will be able to take those roles, but they've never been thrown in the fire before. So, if you look up on the offensive side, most of our line, we got 2 of them back. Our quarterback's gone, or three of our 4 receivers are gone. Our running back's gone. We got our tight end back and our receiver back, a couple of receivers. So, offensively, kind of got pretty much depleted. And then you flip over to the defensive side, and it's pretty similar. All of our back end secondary guys were seniors. 2 of our linebackers were seniors, and then a couple up front. So it'll be a lot of new faces. And like I told the kids the other day, it's been their challenge of this. We try to call it January, February, and March up until spring practice. We kind of try to call it the separation season rather than the off season. Is something we've really stressed this year. We challenge them how you're going to separate from where you were last year, and as a team, how we're going to separate from the team we were last year, because the board in the weight room that has all the top maxers and in the depth chart, it's depleted. So there's a lot of new faces that got to be up there, and so a lot of guys are. We're looking to how are they going to separate themselves from where they were last year to fill those roles, because at the end of the day, we're going to have 22 starters on the offense and defense, and we've got to. With those guys that are in that weight room every day. So it's been a good challenge for them, and I feel like like I said at the beginning, they are super resilient and have come back really strong and work hard, and they I feel really good with who we'll have to replace those guys.
When you think about who might be the next quarterback, do you already know who's going to be QB1 going into the fall?
We got some young guys that got an upcoming 10th grader, Crossland, who's had a really good 9th grade year. And then we got an 8th grader coming up as a 9th grader, Trace Hawkins, who, both those guys will battle it out. And they're both winners. And the good thing about both of those guys is they're great on the field, but they're even better off the field. They're great people. They're great leaders. So that's what you want out of a quarterback. So even though they're both young, I'm really looking forward to letting those guys compete throughout the spring, throughout the summer, and see where we are, leading up to August. But both those guys, like I said, their character is through the roof. So I feel good, with either one of those guys.
What's the biggest difference between their game and upside, depending on who you go with?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to tell because one's just been in middle school, so he's running. We do a little bit different stuff. So, getting our preseason workout, preseason stuff going in the summer and the spring will really give us a test of what they can do. Because right now, it's we don't know. We don't know. Both have, like I said, their biggest strengths are, and that's why I feel good moving forward. Is just they both have a really high character and are winners and leaders. So, however it goes, we're looking forward to those guys, and they're looking forward to it as well. They're looking forward to getting there and competing, and that's what sports is about. Nothing's given to you, and that's kind of exactly what we're trying to say for the whole team. Is you got to make sure you're going out and working every day and getting better.
I like it. When you look at every game from the 2023 season, and based on what you thought going in and how the game ultimately unfolded and how you felt Thursday night, and then the game goes a different way, you get one do-over. Which one do you pick based on what you actually saw and how it actually played out? Or you're like, man, if I just got to do this one more time, based on what I saw, we're winning that game every single time.
There's 6 things that pop up in a couple of those games that we didn't need all 6. We just needed 1 to go differently in one of the games. But I have to go back to our Cartersville game, which is a huge game for us. We had them at home. It was military night. We had a lot of our military guys in the community that were here, and our National Guard who got deployed to overseas here in January. So it was just a special night, and we got up big on. We were up 17-0 at halftime, and from that point forward, they came back and they beat us with 15 seconds to go. So we led that whole game up until about 15 seconds. So that to me would be the one that you go back and try to relive if you could, because it was such a great football game, a great high school game with 2 rivals, and the stands were full, a great atmosphere, and not being able to pull that one out at the end was very difficult. But with that said, we bounced back the next week and went and played a really good Hiram team and beat them. So like I said, I was pleased where we were, and we just ended up, as a coach, I've got to do a better job of getting those guys into a position to win those games at the end, and that's something that we're working on really hard and looking forward to August to try to get to do it again. What has
the return of Hal Lamb been like for you the last few months?
Great. I was talking about this post back. That's his nephew here. He was the quarterback the first year that we beat Buford. We'd actually played them 3 years. Beat us in the state championship 3 years in a row, and that 4th year we finally beat them. So it's been really good. It's something that may should have happened before, but he got to go on and do something different at Christian Heritage private school. He's been back since January, and I think it's just going to be good for all the coaches and players as well. Just having his his experience and leadership, and all that goes with his career here, and all his like I said, his experience is going to be great for not just football, but for all sports in general, I feel like.
Final thing here, when you think about your offseason program, what's going to be different this year than how you approached it last year? What's one thing that you're like, I'm going to try this. We're going to experiment a little bit.
I think it's definitely, I don't know if experiment at all, but it's just the sense of urgency, have that every day. And it's something I feel like that every youth in America fights right now. Is just the entitlement factor. They see things on social media and everywhere that everybody has all this stuff, and why can't we? And then our past success here at Calhoun, and just think that it just happens, and it doesn't just happen. So we got to make sure that we're treating every day like it's we're going to win a state championship today or not, and that's kind of the mentality that we've tried to take, and just having that sense of urgency every day, leading up, like I said, the separation season, leading into spring practice in summer, will pay dividends, I feel like, when we start the season.
I love it. Clay, how do the good folks keep up with Calhoun football this spring, and how can they support everything that you've got going this offseason for the Yellow Jackets?
Yeah, so we got a really good website with CalhounTouchdownclub.com, and it's got all of our schedule and all of our merchandise and a lot of good things that our touchdown club is doing. I feel like that's what separates Calhoun from other schools that are similar. I feel like our touchdown club, our administration, and our school system is truly behind the sports here. Talking about football, they go above and beyond, and all those three things working together, I feel like what separates Calhoun and makes it a special place. But check that out. Our website, calhounschools.org, also has our football webpage on there. So a lot of good things there, and then obviously Twitter and Instagram, all the things that the kids like to look at. But a lot of good ways to do it. And like I said, we're looking forward to getting this separation season going and spring practice, and just can't wait to get summer over with and get to kick it off again, because that's the only thing that kind of can replace that feeling of losing, is getting back out there and competing again.
Absolutely. Go support Clay and everything that he's got going over there at Calhoun. Clay, thank you as always, and we'll have to check back in this summer.
Appreciate it, Chase. Have a good one.